Now on Country Life, we're heading to Motupipi Dairy Farm in Golden Bay. Cosmo Kentish Barnes is out in a paddock with Wayne and Nikki Packard and their beloved herd of Jersey cows. Wayne is a big fan of the girls and has been a member of the Nelson Golden Bay Jersey Breeders Club for 47 years. He describes the layout of the property.
2/3 of the farm's flat, and then we've got some rolling hills to the back, and then the last piece of the farm is a ridge, with grazing on it. We've got a 38 hectare block of ridge with limestone rocky outcrops and flats between it, and on that 38 hectares there's 16 hectares of grass, which we've got split into 8 paddocks and just rotate young stock round up there. On the dairy platform, 78 hectares, and we're out in the paddock with the cows. 212 cows.
So quite a diverse landscape.
It is, yeah.
You've got shady trees in all the paddocks and pockets of native bush dotted across the property.
That's right, yeah, we have. We've always tried to keep the trees, particularly the totra, a lot of totra trees. And there we've actually got that's an 8 hectare block of native bush we've got fenced off over there between the reef and the dairy platform is 8 hectares of native bush, which is quite nice to have running along the side of your farm.
Yeah, that's locked off. Well, that's satisfying.
Yeah.
Now I can see quite a few old walnut trees. When were they planted?
Oh, it was back in the 1800s, and it was then at the time the biggest walnut plantation in the southern hemisphere, and it was back in acres in those times. It covered about 30 acres, which for those days must have been huge, and it spread over what is four different farms now. And as you can see, there's not that many trees left now, but then they're getting up to 180 to 200 years old, some of these trees. Yep.
There was also a big drying shed for the walnuts across the road as well, back in the day. Yeah.
Wayne, you're a 6th generation farmer on this land.
Yeah, that's right, which is quite nice to have that. My ancestors came out from England in 1849, bought the block of land off a Lands and Survey map. They didn't even know where they were coming to, got on a boat which took 3 months to get here, and then they lived in a place called Clifton, which is about 4 kilometres away because it was the only inhabitable place at the time, and they had a bridle track through to the farm, to the area that they'd bought, and they used to walk through on horseback each day and chop the farm out of the bush.
Gosh.
And then they were actually, once they got some grass area, they were the first people to bring dairy cows to Golden Bay. They put them on a barge and barged them round from Motupipi, which is on the other side of the Taka Hill, and came ashore at Clifton and walked them to the farm. And believe it or not, it was only 7 cows. It was the first dairy cows to come to Golden Bay, 7 cows.
So they were quite pioneering farmers.
They were. And we've just developed on right from then through the generations. Yeah, it's always been a dairy farm from then on.
Have there always been Jersey cows here?
Initially it was Jersey cows, but then it went away to Friesian and crossbred through when they were the predominant breed, 40, 50 years ago. But when I come home to the farm, I was really keen on the Jerseys, and just changed from cross back to Jersey. So we've been Jersey herd for 40 years now.
And they've been milked today?
Yeah. We normally milk twice a day from start of, just depending on how the season goes, to somewhere between Christmas and end of January. We just drop to once a day because we can dry out a bit here through the summer. We have got some of the farm under irrigation, but not the whole platform. So twice a day through the peak of the season, then drop to once a day. Yeah.
And Nikki, 15 years ago you started using an alternative pastoral or soil nutrient system. Tell me about that.
Well, we heard one of the local farmers here started using the Kinsey-Albrecht system, which meant that there was a change of fertiliser to just using mineral fertilisers and no superphosphate or man-made fertilisers. So we changed to that because we felt it was going to be better for our soil. And once we started along that path, we also found that our cow health improved, which was something that was a really good side shoot for us. So happy cows make happy farmers.
Was it a gradual conversion process? Did you do some trials first?
We didn't really test the waters. We went full in on the whole farm. We decided if we were going to give it a go, we had to give it a go. So, yeah, we just changed the types of fertiliser that we were using to the mineral ones, and immediately found that things were improving. Our grass was looking better and our cows were happy and gradually getting healthier. Not that most people would think they were unhealthy to start with, but they just seem to be getting more resistant to some of the issues that cows can have, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for our listeners who aren't familiar with the Kinsey-Albrecht system, who developed it and where does it come from?
It was developed in the USA by a Mr. Albrecht, who worked out the perfect mineral balance for any soil. And so the system can be used anywhere in the world because it's based on the mineral content of the soil.
So it's very scientific.
It is very scientific, yes.
When you do apply fertiliser onto the paddocks, what sort of fertilisers do you normally use?
Okay, so the two biggest minerals we use are calcium and magnesium, and they have to be balanced before anything else. And then after that we look at the more minor minerals, things like boron, selenium, sulphur. So we go right down the scale and get them all balanced up so they're at their optimum levels, because they all work with each other to grow the pasture to the best of its ability.
Yes. So, Wayne, did you do worm counts in the soil before you adopted this system?
Yeah, that's right. That was the first thing that we did. Did a spade square in paddocks, and we were finding 2 to 3 worms in a spade square, and they told us that, under the Kinsey-Albrecht system that would improve. After 5 years, we were finding 15 to 20 worms in a spade square, and we thought, oh, that was really great. But now we've been on it for 15 years now, and this year our spade squares are finding 50 to 60 worms, which is amazing.
That's a huge jump.
It's a huge jump, yeah.
And that's really where the worm count should be.
It is. That's what they told us initially, that's where you'd get to, and we're there in 15 years, so I find that quite amazing, really. Yep.
Now, I'm just going to have to say that as we're talking, one of your Jersey cows has been licking my arm, and I'd forgotten how raspy their tongues are. Now, Nikki, every year you have to send soil samples to the United States, don't you?
We do. Yes, the Kinsey-Albrecht system uses a lab in the States, and our soil is sent over there, and they make a recommendation or tell us the levels of the minerals in the soil every year, and then we apply fertiliser according to the levels of the minerals that are found. So we're always only applying what is necessary for the pasture to grow efficiently, and never too much or too little.
Have you found that some years you don't need to apply any fertiliser?
We have. We've had a year where our biggest block of land didn't require anything because it was balanced. So we just went along with that and saw what happened, and we didn't notice any difference in grass growth even though we hadn't applied anything onto it. So we're really happy with that and look forward to that happening more in the future as well.
Yes. And so what pastures are the cows eating now? Because it's very lush and green, and there are lots of yellow flowers.
It is lush and green. Our yellow flowers are probably our pain of our life, really. We have a buttercup problem here, but we do run a regenerative pasture system. So we run a system that has herbs, plantain, chicory, as well as a large selection of grasses in it. So our pastures have about 12 to 15 species in them, sometimes up to 20. And so that gives the cows a very varied diet. And it also means that the species of grass and herbs are all being able to provide a better microbiology in the soil. Yeah.
When you did switch to a more biological system, what did other farmers in the district think? Because you would have been some of the first farmers to try this out.
Yeah, we were, and it is interesting, and even today, I mean, it's not common practice, to be honest. You get both sides of the fence. You get some people that say, "Oh, good on you," and really take notice of what you're doing, and we've had people that have said to us, "Gosh, it really works. It's amazing the changes we've seen on your farm." But you get the other people too that say, "Oh, your pastures are too long and rank, and it doesn't look good." And it's certainly financially, like, it has certainly worked for us. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it? And the other thing to remember with us, like, we're fully on grass. Our cows don't see any palm kernel, any meal or any. All they get is grass, and any surplus goes into baleage or hay. So it's grass, baleage or hay is their sole diet year in, year out. And I think that's how dairy farming should be. Yeah.
Has the milk quality changed since you've changed your farming system?
Oh, that's actually quite hard to quantify. It definitely had, like, we've improved, but you also got to remember that the genetics of the cows has improved a lot as well. Like, we've always used high BW bulls, and it's amazing the progress that there's been with genetics. So yeah, it is definitely improving, but to be honest, you got to give LIC some of that credit. It's cow genetics as well as pasture.
It's also quite a difficult thing to quantify year in, year out, because at different times of the year and different years, depending on the growth, the amount of fat and protein in the milk will change. So although this season our fat has generally been higher than last season, it's also been a better growing season up until now too. So it's quite difficult to be able to tell whether it's the regenerative system that's responsible or whether it's a seasonal variation.
Yes. Now, Nikki, as well as having this dairy farm, you also grow wheat for the local bakery.
We do. We play at growing wheat. We have the local Backer Bakery in Golden Bay, and they have been very keen to be able to grow the wheat in the bay and make their sourdough bread with it. So we grow their wheat in a spray-free, organic-ish system. We use a regenerative practices and don't spray it with anything. We just plough the soil and manage to grow about a 5-tonne crop off a hectare for them, using quite an old variety of wheat, which makes the best tasting bread in New Zealand.
Yum! That was Nikki Packard. Cosmo was also talking to her husband Wayne at their Motupipi dairy farm in Golden Bay.